Good morning, everyone. So I just woke up and I realized that I didn't share with you an insight that I had yesterday, and I want to call it an insight. It wasn't a lucid dream. It was something very unusual. So normally my phone, I do not keep it beside my bed. You know, I charge everything outside of the room. I have no EMFs in our bedroom whatsoever. Makes me choke up because I've been a very strong advocate for, being EMF free. Yet it is all around us. So anyways, that's a segue. That's another story. But yesterday morning, I woke up and I just happened to have my phone beside me. And so I reached over, I turned it on, and lo and behold, this thing popped up. And I was like, what is this? Why am I seeing this? I wasn't searching this. It was Google Earth. Google Earth was on my phone. I was like, well, I didn't even know I had Google Earth on my cell phone, right? Certainly wasn't researching it. And so what was even more strange was what was on Google Earth. And I want to show you what it was. So this is what was on my Google Earth. I was shocked. Can you imagine just opening your phone and Guantanamo Bay is staring at you? I was like, okay, so why do you want me to look at this? And the first thing I observed was that the land had been etched out. You can actually see that they put some kind of filter to make it look like rough waters here. And then there's this band that goes all the way up. It's clear, and a band with a straight line that goes all the way up again on the right and the left-hand side. If any of you don't know where Guantanamo Bay is, it's actually in Cuba. So let me pull out further and further. There we go. There we go. So that's where it is, Cuba. And it is small little area, just north of Jamaica and Haiti, Port-au-Prince, all of that area. So it is a very, very small little area, but I mean, the beginning of last year, it was just a tiny little camp. In this last 12 months especially, but I would say even more so in the last many months, this whole section here on the left-hand side is brand new. And in fact, you can see on the right-hand side by Kittery Beach, they're actually, they're clearing the land, right? They're clearing land all around it. So let's take a look at Guantanamo Bay and the growth of it. We'll start right to the right. We'll go right to left. So you can see brand new area being built on the right-hand side. Kittery Beach, I thought was interesting. Why would they flag that as a position? Because if you go really close, it's a rock. And so what is the significance of that beach? We don't know. I'm sure someone does. And, what is with the roundabout and all the vehicles here? Is this a point of entry from the ocean? It's hard to say what that is about. Okay, so then we go in closer. This is an interesting part of construction. When you look at these two buildings especially, one is a star shape. It's like an inverted pentagon, right? It's the opposite of what our Pentagon was. So the Pentagon had, the shape of the Pentagon. So this is a star-shaped building. And I thought that was really interesting. Why would they make it a star? And then on the top of this building, again, keep note of this piece, puzzle-like piece shape of a building. We'll see it again. But the symbols on the top, air conditioning units perhaps, they are mirrored images of each other. And again, is it some kind of coding? I find that I'm questioning anything and everything. I think I'm missing something down here. Actually, I just heard that I'm missing something here. So again, more big pieces. What are those? Like, there's got to be some stuff here that I'm missing that we need to look at. If you know anything about Guantanamo Bay and what is going on here, you can see all of the new buildings, right? The extension. These, some of them were old, many are brand new. Look at them all. There's more down here. More and more and more. These are all new. Look at, all brand new. Lots of cars. So this is what I wanted to say to you was, remember the shape of that building? It's very similar and it has an open spot, but symbolisms, right? It's a cross with a circle on top. What is that about? Yeah. If anyone knows what that cross with a circle towards the top of the cross means, and it has like 3 lines in the cross. 1, 2, 3. It almost looks like a Ukrainian Orthodox type cross. So there's over 100 cars in the parking lot, right? And surrounding areas, of course. And, you know, these are all brand new buildings. Another unusual shaped building here. And again, the symbolism of the rocks and everything that's around it, you have to ask, why did they do this? Because if anything, they are looking at what it will look like from an aerial shot, right? We know that. So it's grown and grown and grown. So then I looked at this and I went, well, there's something else I'm missing. I know it, because you wouldn't just show me Guantanamo Bay and perhaps how much it's grown. And I was going down the coastline and then I saw this. What is this? First of all, I saw Blind Beach and I thought, that's an interesting name for, you know, for a detention center to be blind. And especially when you see that this line here, they've blinded us out from what is sitting there. So could it be tankers? Could these speedboats be delivery? You know, if you were bringing in prisoners, you would have huge cargo ships or tankers here, and the smaller ships would be bringing in prisoners to a vehicle that is there waiting for them. And where does the road lead? All roads lead here to Guantanamo Bay. So I think that these little speedboats, sorry, making you nauseous. I think these little speedboats here are bringing in prisoners, and that's how many are being delivered, if not coming in by helicopter or planes. So I thought that was a really interesting thing. So then I saw this. I thought, okay, forgive me, I got distracted there. I was thinking to myself, well, why are you showing me Guantanamo Bay? And then all of a sudden this article came up, and it was American Media Periscope. If you don't know American Media Periscope, check this out because it's well worth watching. Forgive me, my computer is doing a lot of saving of stuff, so you might be hearing some static behind, but I want you to hear this.
All right, James Grunwig is an author and researcher. His book, Master Manipulator, The Explosive True Story of Fraud, Embezzlement, and Betrayal at the CDC, can be found on Amazon.com with his other books. Joining us from New York, soon to be a resident of Florida, is James Grunwig.
John, great to be here this Monday night. That's for sure. I would like to play video number 1, producer, and jump right into the Evergreen container ship.
Mm-hmm.
Here's what I got. Notification was received, and it says Commanding Officer Colonel SJD authorizes team's mission statement release. So this was now authorized to release it. I'm bringing it to you. Number 2, Interdiction Mission, Operation Evergreen, and Joint Special Operation Command actioned. 3, active boarding teams given. So on these teams that were, and this is obviously a joint operation, U.S. Navy SEALs, DevGru, of course you guys know what DevGru is, you SEALs, Spetsgruppe A, and that appears to be Russian special operators, Directorate A of the FSB Special Purpose Center. Again, that's their, I guess you'd call it their new KGB. Let's see, Spetsgruppe V team / KBG Directorate V or 5 Vega Group. Then the next one, the subset of the active boarding teams, is our protection team, and I'm going to leave the number out because I don't know. When it says our protection team, this is Overwatch. So I guess at some level it'll tell you who these people are to a degree and what they're capable of in terms of these type of operations. So our protection team, XYZ, infiltrated Evergreen, already aboard, coordinated strike interdiction mission. So here's what it means. Boarding given, boarding cranes were used, access to Evergreen was given, uploading completed, human intelligence, dead on arrival, 1,366 souls, alive on arrival, 1,245. Therefore, by the time they got there, apparently there were 1,366 people that were dead on that ship, which means we know, as I mentioned the other day, that there were reasons why this operation went this way, shut down the Suez Canal, because, you know, any ship in position for ingress or egress, which is coming in or going out, now can be stopped and boarded, and their cargo manifests reviewed, and actually go look for cargo on these ships that actually is not on the cargo manifest, and allow them to do that legally. And then, of course, what they discover, they can go from there. So that was a planned operation for that reason. One of the reasons is that they basically, there is the shot manufactured, obviously, over in that region of the world where it's coming from China and going through the canal to get where it needs to go. Get my battery put in here so we don't lose a general. So as they mentioned to me, Overwatch mentioned to me, like human beings, I'll just call it the shot to keep us from getting targeted immediately. The shot also has an expiration date. If it's not in a certain place at a certain location, you know, or at a certain time, then they probably don't have the capacity for the refrigeration, which I understand has to be like below zero, or possibly. I just hear from what I've heard in the past. Therefore, that means that these things expired and the shots were now ruined. And that was part of it.
I just want to say that's Patriot Street Fighter Scott McKay, who I spoke with on Sunday and who's coming on our program soon. Take it away, James.
Hat tip to Scott. I saw it over the weekend. Amazing segment. He was actually reading on his tablet from a press, not quite a press release, but a release from Overwatch directly to him. And it was from Colonel SDJ, obviously hiding the real name of the colonel, right? Who was involved. But let's take some points. And there are some other things he discussed in his 10-minute segment, but it was amazing. So for anyone who doesn't know, my belief is that Navy SEALs Dev Group is actually SEAL Team 6. They changed the name of SEAL Team 6 because I guess a bunch of young 20-year-olds in bars in Virginia Beach and in San Diego were claiming to be SEAL Team 6 members. And so they wanted to get away from the publicity of that because it's not about publicity, right? It's about stealth. So they changed the name of the group. That's number one. Number two, SEAL Team 6 with Russian Special Forces working on the same operation for good against evil. That kind of kills the narrative, John, about what? About Russia, about Trump and Putin. That's the end of this. There is a military alliance, it's international, and it is happening. And so there is some actual evidence, proof of this.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, yeah, well, Russia. one hoax after the other, just like this film they've got out now about that letter in the alphabet, the 17th letter in the alphabet, all complete nonsense. The people that said Trump was a Russian spy are the same people that are jumping all over the Q issue. Don't get me started on that.
You know, we won't get started on that because it's their last desperate grasp of power is what it is. They're losing big time. So like I thought when Google Earth blacked out the Suez Canal, remember that video I showed last week?
That's right.
Well, this explains why. But this goes on further. So there were apparently tons and tons, maybe millions of vials of China's COVID vaccine, which is probably a kill shot. And so this had multiple purposes to stop the ship, get free advertising, Evergreen, right, the human trafficking component, right? 1,366 dead, the 1,245 living. They saved them, right? They have not made any announcement yet, but I'm going to say when the day comes, they're going to certainly bring the human race up to speed, the world, right? There was a tactical nuke Scott talked about on that ship that was compromised, that if the vessel's compromised, it was going to detonate. Well, so what happened? So U.S. Space Force, Scott believes, and so do I, actually used a jamming system, which might explain the wayward behavior of the ship, and actually killed any ability to remotely detonate that nuke at all. So that was removed. So you're talking about a tactical nuke. They found other kind of exotic weapons on board, probably stingers and missiles and bombs and munitions. You got all the people dead and alive they found, right? And then you've got the Chinese vaccines, which are basically destroyed because they were stuck in the canal for a week and needed deep kind of refrigeration, and the shelf life is gone. So this had multiple purposes. So now I read a report that the captain, crew, and staff that worked on the ship are now up for arrest. You don't arrest captains and crew members and staff if it was all just a pure accident, there's nothing on board, right? So this is coming from, that's coming from different sources, which lines up with what Scott is telling us.
Well, you know, the media is not telling us anything, so at least we're getting some inroads into some information. You called it out in the beginning in the speculation on the first report, and then the blacked out canal started to add to the storyline, and now with Patriot Street Fighter Scott McKay and your additional research, we're getting a little bit closer to the truth. And you mentioned a moment ago, at some point in time, this will be news, this stuff. Oh, there's going to be a lot of news that's going to be released at the right time as this progresses. A lot of news going all the way back to JFK, probably earlier than that, but certainly from JFK through 9/11, through this incident, and everything in between.
There we go. So that was interesting, wasn't it? I thought it was really interesting. There were a few points from there that I got, all regarding Guantanamo Bay. And one was that, you know, the crew and the captain of the ship, it looks like they have been arrested or they are about to be arrested. And where are they going to go? For all the tribunals, for all of the, you know, the safety of being able to actually have a fair and just legal system, because we know that the legal system is corrupt literally around the world. They're going to go to Guantanamo Bay, of course. And also the Suez Canal was blacked out. The Google Earth and Google Maps, they actually blocked out, you know, the Suez Canal, so we couldn't see what was going on. And isn't that interesting? Because that's what's happening with Guantanamo Bay. You can see the filters. It's like a straight line down on both sides where we can't see. We can't see into the ocean. We can't see what is arriving. We see two speedboats coming out of nowhere. Where are they coming from, right? And why would you block out where they are coming from? And why would you leave it for us to see those two speedboats coming in? Perhaps, you know, it is, I think that they like to play games, honestly. I think that it's almost a game of, you know, the symbols will be their downfall. They're part of their agreement is that they have to leave clues, they have to leave symbols, they have to leave evidence right in front of us. And for decades, we've ignored it, but here it is. And the other thing is 1,366 deaths. And 1,245 were found alive. They didn't say whether they were children. They don't say whether they're adults, women, men, boys. We will find out someday soon, I'm hoping. But at least it's been exposed. And for those that were losing hope and saying that this was all a scam, that, you know, us truthers have been, you know, off on a fairy tale ride, the bodies are piling up. And unfortunately, you know, people are paying the cost. And I want to say thank you to those souls that agreed to come here to have a hell of a life, to die prematurely, and be our wake-up call. So this is a wake-up call for each and every one of us. We don't want their deaths to be in vain, do we? Right? We want to actually say, okay, enough is enough. We have to stand up. We have to, you know, it's all about rising up, stand up, rise up, and speak out. Your silence is your acceptance. This is a slogan that came to me in 1998 when I had the pedophile after my daughter. And it was our slogan for Mad Mothers Against Pedophiles, MAP. It was the first organization, nonprofit, that I started back in 1998 to 2000. And we went, you know, crazy for 17 years, changing laws. 14 laws we changed. We amended and wrote. And you know, you have to realize at some point, you got to stop waiting for someone else to do something for you. Because for 2 years, that's what I did, 1998 to 2000. I just waited for someone else. You know, I don't want to be the leader. I don't want to do this. You know, I'll wait for someone else to actually start a movement, and then I'll follow and I'll support them. And finally, in 2000, I realized no one was coming. No one was stepping up. All these children were being raped. Let's call it what it is, child rape, right? By very sick individuals and networks and groups. And with each one that came across my path, I realized I couldn't stay silent any longer, because your silence is your acceptance. So as you sit there silently, clucking your tongue and thinking, you know, this is terrible, we have to do something, just get going, start doing something, make phone calls, be vocal. You know, for all of the sheep that are out there that are vocal and calling us crazy, you know, trying to discredit, we owe it to each other to stand up and start telling anyone and everyone we know what we know to be true, that the A stuff, the red stuff, exists and was most likely on this ship as well. Didn't hear anything on that. We certainly heard about the nukes. We heard about the stuff that is being put in. It's expired now. Gosh knows how much of it was expired, because there was talk from the CDC and the WHO that this stuff, right, that went in, the stuff, it had to be held at like minus 75 degrees Fahrenheit. It was absolutely ridiculous, you know, or perhaps it was Celsius, I don't know, but it had to be like ultra cold, you know, containers, otherwise it would expire. What is in it that has to be held at that kind of temperature? And what happens to it if it expires? What happens to us if it expires? Do we expire by taking it? There have been more deaths from it. Don't get me going on that. But at any rate, I thought this yesterday morning, I thought, wow, why are you showing me Guantanamo Bay? And then I saw this video of what is actually happening in the Suez and what happened with, you know, Evergreen ship. You know, the Evergreen call sign, the ship's call sign was HRC, Hillary Rodham Clinton. Was that a coincidence? Was it a coincidence that it sat at 33 degrees, right? A 33-degree Mason, 33 degree of the cabal, the Illuminati, right? there were so many things about this. And one other thing was, I thought, I don't know if you got from that video, was that at the top of the Suez Canal was a Russian ship. At the bottom was an American ship. They trapped them in. There was no going. Even when that tanker got free, it wasn't going anywhere because they were being squeezed by both sides. This was a cooperative affair, a cooperative mission, operation, not affair. Don't get, don't take words out of context. A cooperation between Russia and the United States to squeeze this in. And what happens when we squeezed this cesspool? Out popped more evidence. And unfortunately, a lot of dead bodies, but fortunately, a lot that are alive. So that's it for today. This morning's vision, lucid dream, was stuff that was more personal with me, my family. So I'll follow up on that today and see where that one leads. But sometimes I think it's more about us and it's less about everything else. So it's clearing our mind, finding that hope, finding that joy. And so that's the message I was receiving today, was clean up the act here, right? And in cleaning the act up here, it will affect the whole. So I invite all of us to clean up our act today, including our surroundings. Clean it up. And you will feel anew, you will feel rejuvenated, and that will be the start of the joy and the hope and the prosperity and the feeling of, yeah, okay, let's get on this. Maybe I'll make some phone calls today. Maybe I'll write some letters, some email letters to my politicians, the president, to the prime minister, to the MPs, the MLAs, and start putting pressure. Maybe I'll make my own video. Wouldn't that be great? Okay, we'll see you guys soon. Bye now.